What is up, everyone? Welcome back. It's Press Play again. Hey, holla, that sounded
Holla.
awful. it's your girl Bailey. What?
Hey.
Oh man, we're going all in with
Real
this.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And how's it going, people out there? Please talk to us. Let us know, because I love when y'all let me know how things are going. I got joined with me today. It's Matt Austin and Omar Zaki.
I can't believe Omar
Up, fellas.
Zaki's here. Thought Omar
know.
Zaki was
We
gonna
thought
be.
he was gonna be gone for a
They're
very
gonna have to go
long
dig him
time.
out of the snow.
It was
Unfortunately,
a fucking journey. I'll tell you that.
Our boy decided to go to Houston the weekend where a blizzard hit. Who would have thought,
classic
Timing.
Omar. Let me travel into the disaster.
I know.
Oh, dude,
We're
it was
just
so
hav-
hard explaining it to work, man.
Oh god.
Oh, I know. I was like,
Like, it made no sense.
I was wondering what was gonna happen with that, but you know what? We're glad you made it back safe, you boy. And we also are like so just sorry for everyone out there dealing with stuff, and hopefully
Yeah,
things
it's
can
a
get
tough time,
resolved
man.
and people can have power, because it's so sad, and I just hate seeing all of that. It'd be like if we got, like, I guess the best way to describe it is if New Orleans got hit with a blizzard. We'd be like the same, just having no clue what the hell to do.
And we got close. We just from our temperature going down, things got crazy here. So
So sad. But yeah, no, we're back. We're glad you made it back, especially for the movie we're going to be discussing
I
today.
had to.
there was
Literally the only
literally
reason.
there was literally no way. We didn't even have a conversation about trying to do this episode without Omar because it just
We did. No, Matt
couldn't happen.
turned to me and he was like, "Should we just prep it just in case he can't make it back?" And I was like, "If you think for one motherfucking second we're going to be doing this discussion without Omar, you're insane."
love it.
I was like, you're
I love
And
right.
he was like, "You're right."
It's not worth it for those 5 viewers.
Exactly. But before we get to that, I do want to say, if you want to follow us, and you should want to follow us on any social medias that aren't Facebook, you can on Twitter at Again Press, and I almost said Facebook, Instagram at Press Play Again, specifically not Facebook. But if you also want to listen to us and not watch us on YouTube, you can do that on Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and most importantly, Apple Podcasts now, which if you give us those 5 stars that they easily let you give, and comment saying how much you love it, we would, my God, super appreciate that. Maybe even send you something. Put your address in it. We'll give you money. I don't know. Just, or is that,
Yeah, let's
is
start
that-
soliciting.
Is that illegal? Never mind.
No, that's fine. You can do that.
I think there was an
Never
Never
mind,
iCarly
we won't
episode
do-
about that.
We won't do that. Never mind. Scratch that. But yeah, if you want to, go ahead and like us at least. And then also, just a reminder, we do this little shindig every Thursday. Every Thursday evening, you're gonna get. Oh no, I'm kidding. No, wait, yeah, no, Thursday evening.
This
Sometime
Thursday.
during Thursday.
It's
This
normally
Thursday, it's evening. It's usually in the morning.
Yeah, it's normally Thursday at 10, but you know, the fucking blizzard and the man who
Yeah.
had a dream and got the fuck out of there some kind of way.
Exactly. So this Thursday evening you'll get this, but usually it's in the morning on Thursdays. We do our little movie book club that we love it. And
Even
this is
more
our
now.
DCEU edition, because guess what? We're doing the countdown to the Snyder cut.
Woo, trailer came out. Jesus.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh God.
Fucking
We're even gonna have
hard.
like a special hype episode for it, because why the fuck
Mhm.
not, you know? I feel
We can
like
do whatever
we
we
might
want.
as well. But starting with this is the beginning of it, we are going to be discussing the infamous Man of Steel.
The man.
Woo.
The man, the myth,
Of
the
steel.
steel. He works in a steel yard. I'm kidding. I don't think that's
For
what
part.
that's what they were doing.
Or
Is
he's
that
on a
thing, the
boat.
steel yard?
I think our friend Corey used to work with steel.
That was a steel mill.
With steel.
I knew it
Jesus.
was something. So technically, Corey in our life is the Man of Steel at one
Damn.
point.
God.
Hope he likes that. If you're listening to this, Corey, that's who you are.
You're the most Superman-like entity that we know.
Yeah. So before we dive in, I just want a little reminder that on YouTube, if you want to follow us, like us, subscribe to us, comment, give us any recommendations. After all of this, you can give us all your thoughts on what we discussed, or if we missed anything, let us know, because we love that.
We
'Cause
welcome
we
your
usually
feedback.
miss a lot. So yeah. And then of course, don't forget, we got our Wanda Fridays that's coming at you tomorrow. So super excited for that. But we don't give a shit about that right now because we need to focus on Superman. So
Fuck it.
I
There we go.
say we dive in to the first impressions of a movie we've all already seen.
Oh boy, podcasting about the
Yes. Do
DCEU.
it.
What could
So I
go
say
wrong
Do it.
I
or
need
I'm so
right?
fucking hyped.
I think we need to start with Omar just because he's the biggest Superman freak of us all. So
Wow. There
in
we
a good
go.
way.
Works
Yes,
for
I
Freak
me.
am
I
though.
use
I
the
am.
word freak in a loving way always.
You do actually.
I
Since
do.
since I've known you,
kinda
I feel like
weird.
you have always used that word as a compliment almost.
Yeah,
It
why
is
not?
kind
I
of
call
weird.
myself a freak all the time.
It's a
And
bit
you gotta
freaky.
love yourself. So
It's a bit freaky.
There you go. Just so I get a feel, what I'm working with here, my own friends. What are your experiences? Because I know like Matthew hasn't finished Smallville. Have you
I
finished it,
haven't
or have you
finished
watched it?
it.
You just had to
I
bring that up.
so
Well,
I
no, no.
never
Here's the reason.
go ahead.
No, like
Have
the
you?
reason. Well, I was gonna ask about that, and then the original Superman movies and Superman Returns, because Man of Steel actually draws a lot of inspiration from all of those, which I'm sure is gonna come up naturally just in the conversation later. So I want to see like what experience you guys have with it.
So, I loved Smallville when I was younger. I did the thing where like I watched it when it came on TV, so I never watched it in order. It would just like show
Mm-hmm.
random episodes. So I've never watched it in order and I haven't watched all of it. But I did love it
Okay.
because I don't know, I thought Clark was hot.
Oh my god, so
And
fucking hot,
I
dude.
I
Dude, me
also
too.
thought like Lex Luthor, I had this sick obsession with like my whole life. I've just loved villains and when they're good, I
It's
always like
continued
good
into
villains.
adulthood, if in case anyone
Yeah,
was wondering.
it's just weird. I've just always loved like a good ass villain. I root for them sometimes
Okay.
because I'm like they
Ooh.
deserve it. They're being really good. No, I'm kidding. But
Okay.
seriously. And I thought Lex was really cool. I've always remembered him and now I listen to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. Like
Yes.
I
It's
love that
amazing.
man. I think he was great in that show. And I think that
I
show is
agree.
just like corny enough, but
Hmm.
still was great for like our age when we were growing up. So I
Right,
love that.
right.
I
And the
haven't
time it
seen
came out.
any of the original Superman movies though. I was more of a Wonder
Oh
Woman
man.
gal. So
Okay, okay. I got you. And you haven't seen any of them either, Matt, right?
No, I haven't seen any of the. It's a huge blemish on my movie watching history, but yeah, I haven't seen any of the Superman movies. I've seen. Where did I stop Smallville? Was it season
You stopped
6?
season 5. No, no, no.
Season
Halfway
5.
through
I'm
season
glad
5.
you know.
I
Omar
do.
knows better than I do. And I loved Smallville,
You're-
man, but the second,
yeah,
it's not even a
Johnny,
spoiler. Jonathan
Jonathan.
Kent always
No, it's not.
dies in all Superman lore.
God,
So
and he
yeah,
was so great in that. I remember him in that show too, and I loved him.
Yeah,
Smallville
he
has like the best represent. And again, this is coming from somebody that knows so little about Superman, or like doesn't. I don't read comics or really watch that much about Superman. He's not like one of my favorite superhero characters, but I do still love him. And just yeah, Smallville, like Lex and Jonathan Kent. I don't know all of them out there, but the way they are in those shows, I love both of those
Yeah.
characters so much. I can't imagine it done any better.
No, I mean they're my absolute favorites, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's a TV show, so we grow to love them. We know a lot about them. Whereas like in the Superman movie, we see Jonathan Kent for like 2 scenes. One of them is when he finds Clark. The other's when
Yeah.
yeah. So I think that has a lot to do with it. If you guys actually want, Jonathan Kent lives like 2 or 3 hours away from us. He's got his own ranch, and you could go like film shit over there. He
Really?
lives in Louisiana. Yes,
Let's
sir.
Wait,
just
the
go
John
film this
Snyder.
podcast over there. What the fuck
Oh,
are we
really?
doing
Fucking yeah,
here?
That's
you can
crazy.
literally rent it. You can literally rent it for a day and go like film on his ranch, and he's got like a
Oh,
studio. He makes music, all types of shit.
I thought this was at this man's house, and I was like, oh, we just go sit on his front porch and record, and then like he comes down, and
Well,
he's
actually, I
like,
do
what are
think
y'all
he
doing
lives
on
on
my
there. Yeah.
lawn?
If you own a
Kinda
ranch, why
thing.
not?
Wow, what an accident. Okay, so my first my first impressions with this movie, three things that I really liked.
Okay.
Krypton, I thought was just amazing. I thought like it's one of my favorite opening scenes of any movie. Just how we dive in, and for the first
Bold.
time we see Superman being born, right? Because usually it's already like Krypton's going to shit. Like the original Superman movies or even Smallville, the scenes we see on Krypton are Krypton literally going to shit, and
Yeah, it's like
Superman's
so
already a baby,
little.
and right, and they're about to send him off. Whereas this one, you're seeing the entire process of him. And my favorite thing about this movie too is how in every I think Superman like like everything we've seen Superman in, he's just like any Kryptonian. what's special about him is when he gets to Earth and his powers, right?
Right.
In this movie, that's not what's special about him. The special thing is he's the first natural birth in like
Right.
centuries.
I love that.
And I
Is
I
just
thought
that
I
that
thought
was cool.
is that that's not normally a
no
part of
sir, nope,
Superman?
nope.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love how they took that route because I thought it made things a lot more interesting and it really made him special. It's not just okay, I've got these powers. I'm the only one here with these powers. No, he was special on Earth and Krypton. So I really enjoyed that take. And then Cavill's transformation for this role. Just so for okay, so the whole thing. Let me just explain this real quick because you guys know like I'm really like into fitness and just like the
Oh yeah.
nutrition side of things. So Zack Snyder wanted Henry Cavill specifically to have his shirt off for those two scenes because he didn't want people to think when he has a suit on that that's fake. Okay,
Okay.
so for him to look like that with his shirt off, your man went and it was a 6 week transformation. Okay, he went from eating 5,000 calories, which he was eating 5,000 calories to get big for the role of Superman.
Hmm.
Which let me tell you what, 5,000 calories. It's not an easy thing to do. It's really
No.
like you can't just sit there and eat burgers or whatever. Like
Omar
it's
tells
very
me I
Right.
hard
It's
need
to
to
got to
do.
be
hit
like good
2,500 a day,
5,000.
and I still can't
Yeah,
do that.
right. So no, like 5,000 is a lot. And then once you get to that point, it's not easy to cut back. And for the transformation, for him to have his shirt off, he had to cut back to 1,500 calories a day for six
Jeez,
weeks.
I
Six
can't.
weeks.
I
Dude,
mean, I
Which Zack
straight up,
Snyder?
I'd
Hmm?
be
I
up in the
was
middle of the night having just like hunger pangs just throughout the night.
I straight up turned to Matt when like you first see him with the shirt off, and I was like, I don't understand how someone with such a huge body, like his body's so large, can have absolutely no fat on it. Because I
It's
was like,
Dude, he
insane.
got
he's
down to
a big
7%.
man and has
Yeah.
no fat. And I was like, how is that
That's how you do
possible?
it. And he I mean, there's like a bunch of interviews and just like his whole routine and stuff and how like he talks about how hard it was. And Zack Snyder to like reward him afterwards, he gave him like a big ass tub of ice cream and like pizza.
Oh, I
Which I
love
thought was
that.
like
And
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I thought that was kind of cool.
then he's
But
like, I'm
yeah,
lactose intolerant. And
Oh, by the
it's
fucking
way.
like,
imagine, dude. God, what a fucking blow, dude. But yeah, I mean that's really like Henry Cavill, I think, is honestly probably my favorite Superman. Christopher Reeve for me is always gonna be Clark Kent. Like Christopher Reeve's
yeah.
take on Clark Kent, that's just always gonna be like the iconic, you know. As for Superman, I mean, I don't think anyone could play Superman, but I think Henry Cavill did a fucking great job. And just what he does, like physically how he looks because Christopher Reeve, as great as he was as Superman, like when you think Superman, you think about someone just physically strong and just
Right.
physically has that look. Obviously, you know, Christopher Reeve, and at that time it wasn't that huge of a deal. Whereas now, you know, like superhero movies, you fucking see Thor and Captain America, like you've got to have
Right.
like the body
Right.
for it.
You
So
work
yeah, I
for it.
thought so I yeah, I really thought Henry Cavill had that look and the transformation he had to, you know, go through. So yeah, that's my first impressions of the movie. How about you
Dang.
guys?
Okay. So you go next, Matt. Because I know y'all don't know how I feel about this movie. So I
We
want y'all
Right.
to
don't.
go
So we
first.
have to save that one for last for sure. So yeah, this movie, I think this was only probably my third time seeing Man of Steel. I saw it in theaters when it came out. I think I watched it when it came out on Blu-ray or whatever about a year later, and then it's been so long since I've watched it, so I was really excited to go back to this. And yeah, I think this is the most I've ever liked this movie, like hands down. Yeah, I don't think it's perfect. I think we'll get into some of those things later, but like as a whole, I think Henry Cavill is just amazing. Like I don't have the attachment to Christopher Reeves, and I do need to go watch those movies, but I just think like he embodies what I want the character to be and who I think, based on my limited knowledge, who Superman is like so perfectly. And I think the actual like the story beats, like the things that happen in this movie, I really do love. Like I think they do such a good job of making Superman feel human and like really making you feel why he would like have this attachment to Earth and care enough to like care about humanity, right? Like even when somebody from Krypton like is literally there like presenting this way to like revive his planet that was destroyed like a bit in
Race.
an awful
Yeah.
way. Yeah, his whole race, right? Like I feel like that's such a hard thing to sell if you don't do it right. Like not enough credit is given to the fact that this movie makes you believe that and like root for Henry Cavill and Superman obviously. And so yeah, I think the movie does such a good job in those things that it's easy to overlook the little problems I have with it. And so yeah, I went into this really wondering because I'm not a huge fan of certain things that happen later in the DCEU, but I was like, I always remembered Man of Steel feeling different than that, and so far, this easily reminded me of why I feel like this movie it's just really really good.
Sweet. Okay, so you enjoyed
Let's
it
hear it.
the
Oh, I
third time
enjoyed it.
around. Okay, so this is my second time watching it. The first time I watched it, I liked it a lot. I didn't like it wasn't like all I guess it didn't have all the baggage that the DCEU has now.
Yeah,
So
that wasn't there yet.
yeah, so because of that, this was like the hopeful movie, I guess. But I only saw it the first time. I liked it, but I wasn't super into I was super into Batman. Batman's always like my number one. That's my boy, you know. And then the
Me
DCEU
too,
does what
baby.
they do and you're like, "Okay." But this time round watching it, I loved it. I did. And there were
Yes.
definitely issues with parts of it, which I will talk about, and it's in my little
Mm-hmm.
notes. Let me tell you, when I read over the notes that I have,
Love it.
funny as hell. I am funny. No, I'm
Please
kidding.
read them
I
exactly how
will
you wrote
say
them.
what I was thinking too when I was watching this movie, I was like, this is the most MCU DC movie. Like when you
Really?
are based on the MCU like universe for movies, this is the most of all of the DCEU movies that feel like MCU to me, and it's because this movie has like the most heart. Like
I do agree with that. Yes.
BVS and Justice League we'll get to eventually. I can already tell you though that they don't have as much heart as this movie. So like so far, even I would even say that over the Wonder Woman movie. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just and I'm not even counting the second one, but like the first one is more what I mean. But I just feel like this has like the beginning I completely forgot that the first like 10 minutes is on Krypton. Like had no idea. That was like a brand new movie to me. This whole movie actually felt like a brand new movie to me. So that was really fun for me. But I love Russell Crowe. I mean, I
Dude.
think he's kind of a dick in real life, so if he is, we'll screw that and change, please. But
He's great
I
in
think
this though.
he always is funny to me. I don't know what it is about him. I just find him kind of charming in movies, except for Les Mis. But in this movie,
You didn't
I
find
was
him
like,
charming in Les Mis?
no, I did not find him charming in Les
Interesting.
Mis.
What was he like?
Uh,
The mailman?
no, he was the head sheriff or whatever. He was like
No,
tracking. Anyway, uh,
need to
back in the
rewatch
Les
that.
Mis review. Um,
Coming
but
soon.
yeah, no, I loved Russell Crowe in this movie. I thought it was great. But I super enjoyed this. I did. I thought this movie was awesome. I love Henry Cavill. I think I think he's the best pick to play Clark Kent / Superman because a lot of times it's like a character that has two personas, they're either really good at one or really good at the other, and sometimes they're great at both, but I feel like he's one of those instances. It's like the Tony Stark. Like Robert Downey Jr. is great as Iron Man and Tony Stark, and I feel like Henry Cavill's great as Superman and Clark Kent. So I really like that about it. I also think it's funny Matt pointed out to me, which I forgot about this, but like when you see him buff in the beginning, Matt turned to me and he's like, "Can you believe that this dude was playing World of Warcraft when he got the to be Superman?" And I was like, "No, I can't." Like it's insane.
It's just cool because he's just like he's not this like greater than life person in real
Yeah,
life.
he's
You know what I
just
mean? He's
yeah.
just a normal dude, and to just see
Dude,
him
he was made fun
transform into
of
this.
in high school.
Can you
He
imagine?
was fat. He was obese in high school. Yeah, he
But
used
that's
to.
what's
I
so
forgot what his nickname was, but they literally used to like have a fucking nickname for him for
which
being
is
fat.
awful.
Jesus.
But it is such a great
Yeah.
thing when you see down to earth celebrities, it just makes it feel better for yourself. When you're normal people like us, you're just like, "Oh,
Hmm.
cool. Like
Hmm.
look at what he's done for himself and he's a nice guy." So that's like awesome. So,
No man,
I don't know.
he's awesome. Man.
I
I love
love
him on Insta.
I super enjoyed this movie. So we might as well just get into discussing the meat of the movie,
Let's
as
get
they
into it.
say. The
The meat of the
roast
movie.
beef, if
The
you
meat
will.
and
I'm kidding. That was the
potatoes.
first meat I could think of.
Roast beef.
Um so
Actually,
yeah.
really quick, Henry Cavill was supposed to sue originally like right before Superman Returns. There was another Superman movie that was supposed to be coming out, and they cast Henry Cavill, and they ended up just completely abandoning that project. And Brandon Ruth ended up being cast in Superman Returns. And then when they were trying to cast someone for Batman in Christopher Nolan's, it was Christian Bale,
Huh.
a few other people, and Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was
Wow.
like up there on the list.
Interesting. He's
Yeah,
better as Superman in my mind.
Oh,
I
for
agree.
sure.
No, I
He's
Oh,
agree
too
for
one
sure.
hundred
nice.
percent.
Like he couldn't be
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne.
right. No, I agree with that.
But I that is super cool. I didn't know that. But I'm glad we got him as Superman. So we might as well talk about his home planet. which is Krypton.
Krypton,
And
baby.
I agree with Omar. I thought that whole part, like seeing the world, is really cool. I know like the graphics and everything are like a little outdated compared to now, but it didn't like pull me out of it. Like I thought it was good enough, and
Yeah,
I don't know. I super enjoyed that.
I didn't think any of the CGI in this movie really looked like that bad or dated. Like it's dated a little bit, but it doesn't. I don't know. It's
It's like a
it's one
whole
of those things.
planet, so it's gotta be.
Yeah, it's so strange because these movies get bagged on because of their overuse of CGI, and I think the bigger complaint to like you just said, Bailey, Krypton. It's like how else are you gonna do it? Like it is weird alien type of like setting. So it's I don't know. I didn't need that to be practical. I think my complaint about the movie having too much CGI is in like the more towards the end. So we'll get to that later. But yeah, none of it on Krypton really bugged me. And I remember when I watched this movie before thinking they spent way too much time on Krypton at the beginning, but rewatching it now, I kind of like I
Yeah,
didn't feel that anymore. I felt everything there almost happens like really fast, you know?
I
And
agree. I
Hmm.
super
Hmm.
enjoyed Krypton, and I think when you get introduced to Michael Shannon and like Zod and his like crew and what they're doing, like I didn't realize, I guess the first time around, because I don't know much about the lore of like Superman and Zod and everything. I didn't realize that Zod was like the leader of their military. So when
Yes.
Mhm.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
heard that in this one, I was like, oh, that's actually super cool. Like it's like when you see any military leader go rogue because they like are trying to fight for a cause and they think the way they're fighting is right, but the
Yeah.
good way is the actual right way.
Hmm.
But now it's like Zod was talking about it, and I'm like, man, I mean, I kind of get where he's coming from when he's like
Right.
shooting the council members because I mean, they like
Shoot them
drained
motherfuckers.
their planet dry.
Yeah.
So he's like, this is what y'all get, motherfuckers, and then comes in their guns a
Jesus.
blazing, and then only shoots one of them though.
Give a shit.
So,
Yeah, I know. I thought that was kind of weird. I think it's because like she talked back to him or something. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna make a fucking
yeah,
You're done.
a lesson
exactly.
out of
But
you.
I didn't remember any of that. So I was like, "Oh, this see now this makes so much sense."
So yeah, it's always known that General Zod, because yeah, he's a general, and Jor-El are like friends, right?
Right.
Jor-El is a smart scientist, and then Zod is obviously who he is. Like I said, it's interesting this take that they took, but usually, yeah, usually everyone's born the same way. There's not, oh, this is the first natural birth or whatever. I thought it was cool. I don't know if you guys realize in this movie, they were created for certain roles. Jarrell was created to be a scientist. Zod was created to be a general. So
Right.
to me, it
Okay.
almost feels like, wait, like Zod was born to do this. Like
Right.
you could almost argue,
They're
is he really a
programmed.
villain? Right. Is he really a villain, or is he just a general trying to save his race or trying to fight or
Interesting.
avenge his race?
And I
Yeah,
think that's like what they were sorry, uh real quick. I just was saying I think that's what they were trying to get at when Jarrell was like we wanted to do this to where he didn't have to be programmed to be whatever y'all wanted him to
Like he could
be,
do
which
anything
is
he
him
wants.
pointing out the faults in it cuz that's literally taking away like choice and
yeah.
human
Right.
right kind of stuff,
Right.
which it is cool.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that
Mike.
no, that's you basically said what I was gonna say. So that's cool. That like I didn't know that that was kind of the original spin of this story of
Yeah.
Superman was the whole like there hasn't been a natural birth in this long. I guess I just figured that was something about Superman lore I didn't know. So
No,
I
no, no.
think that is like a really interesting way to like make this movie different and like I don't know. Obviously, I'm not the biggest Superman fan, but I can't imagine that that's like a big complaint amongst a lot of people because that's just a really cool idea, and it kind of furthers the fact of like Superman being like this chosen one figure. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
there's more about him than just like he's on Earth, his powers are amped up. Like, he is the first
Exactly.
natural birth in
Exactly.
this long, and like to be able to do and lead people like that, like that's really cool. I love I that was one of the things watching this movie this time that I just loved so much more.
Right, cuz I
Well,
didn't
it
even
was
know that was a thing.
Yeah.
yeah, it was even that, and even when Jarrell, like the whole scene where, I mean, I first of all, I thought everything with Jarrell and Laura, when they had Clark was just very, very emotional and everything, and when they're sending him off, I
When they
mean,
were
dude, just
birthing him.
I can't fucking imagine doing that. But the whole thing where he's like, you're gonna be carrying our hopes and dreams with you. He's not just saying that because it's his son and he wants to see him be successful, whatever. He literally like I forgot what the thing is called that he puts in him. Remember, like it's the fucking Black
The
Skull, pretty
Codex
much
or
like
whatever?
yeah, that is that what it was called? The
Yeah, the
Codex?
I think
codex.
It's
so.
carrying literally the entire race. Like the DNA and everything, it's carrying the
Right.
entire fucking planet of Krypton.
It's
So
see
he literally is carrying the
Is the
hopes and
key.
fucking dreams.
Yeah.
Right,
right
and see, I
of the
didn't
race.
notice that the first time I watched. I had no clue. There's so much I didn't and I was so ignorant to when I first watched
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
movie. So knowing more about comics now and knowing more about how
Sure. Yeah.
superhero
Yeah.
movies work, when I'm listening to that, I'm like paying attention. I see
Right.
that it's like, yeah, no, like literally if Zod doesn't get him, then the entire race of Krypton is gone. It's
Right,
just
which leads
him.
you to think is that really a villain or is he just like
Right.
someone trying to, you
It's
know?
one
So
of those
I
like
think
you can see where he's coming from, and I think those are always the most compelling villains.
absolutely, I
Absolutely.
agree.
Coming from the
I agree.
villain master herself. That's the
Hey,
biggest.
Damn,
That
look
is
at
the
that.
biggest
I don't call
approval.
myself that, but I might start calling myself that
I think you have
because
to now.
I'm just now branding myself as a villain
You
in
know
general.
like we're doing a podcast, right? Eventually we're all gonna have to have nicknames. Sometimes you can force nicknames. We could have a meeting before we start an episode, like, hey, we each need a nickname. What's it gonna be? It's not gonna feel right. It's gotta be the one that just comes out. I'm just throwing into the ring, Bailey, the villain master, because I think you sympathize with villains in every movie
Maybe
anyway.
too much.
Maybe too much, maybe to a fault. Who is Bailey gonna be when she grows up? We don't know. But this is a good suggestion. We'll see what sticks. But
I
I might
can't
start
wait till
calling you
the thing happens in my life where I just turn evil. Y'all better watch out. But if you subscribe to this, I'll save you. I'm
the press
kidding.
play
We'll
again
find
crowd
out.
knew it was coming. But yeah,
Um,
Zod, bringing it back. Zod kicked ass.
Hell yeah. And then I like love. I can say within this movie, you know how I hate bringing this back to Batman. It's just like what I know most from DC. How everybody has always knows exactly how Batman's parents died. You see it in every comic, you see it in every movie. Like there's
Hmm.
always flashbacks. It's just I dream about it. I know. Like it's just like
Once a
so
week,
much.
I
You've seen
get
it
the
so many
Martha
times.
Wayne.
I like watch the video every day. No, I'm kidding. But his
What'd you say?
parents were like so
that name?
you can't talk about Martha without either of you like just quoting BVS immediately. It's like a sickness.
Damn you, BVS.
I really think if I
Damn
like
you.
just silenced y'all and y'all couldn't say it, y'all would like implode. Cuz y'all have to say it. But I think the parents were so amazing in this movie. I like love his parents. I love Kevin Costner. So, and Diane Land's great too. But I just everything with them, I was like, man, if I'm like a parent one day, I hope I'm as supportive to my children,
If
kind of
they end
thing.
up being
Like they just seem
Superman.
like such great parents, and
Hmm.
I love that they portray that so well in this movie. I don't know. I found myself really connected to them until he inevitably dies and doesn't let his son come save him, and you're just like, okay, that's
What's
cool, I
y'all's
guess.
what's y'all's stance on that scene? Because that was a big
Yeah, I was
one
gonna
when the
say,
movie
y'all
came
know
out.
the most controversial thing about the movie. Well, there's two controversial things: the ending,
Right.
which we're gonna talk about later, and then this scene.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so yeah, I was very curious to see because, like, in comic, like I'll tell you, in every single anything that has Superman in it, comics, TV shows, movies, it's always the same way that he dies. It's always a stroke, always.
I think they do a really good job with showing whenever they're showing the flashback scenes of Clark growing up and
Mm.
like how his father is like teach a father. Who the hell am I? Like I'm like in Britain or something. His
Father.
dad is
Father.
showing him like teaching them
My
how to
pops.
like conceal his powers, but not exactly I don't know. It's like he's not saying his powers are a bad thing, but he's not letting him show it. But he's also teaching him how to be like a good person at the same time, like to hold back from like beating up people, mostly because he'd killed them, but also just because it's like the best thing to do for yourself is like work on yourself and grow and like be nice and generous to other people. And you see that so much to where when you get to the point where his dad's about to die, although I believe it's dumb because if I were that person, I don't give a shit what my dad would be telling me and be like, "No,
You just
I'm
go save
bringing
him.
the whole car with me. Like I'm not just going to let you get sucked into a tornado." But at the same time, he like grew up just respecting his dad so much and you can tell that like anything his dad says, I think he would do. Like no matter what, just because
Hmm.
he trusts and respects everything his dad has taught him, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's
Hmm.
beautiful, dog. Like so much.
So
So
beautiful, dog.
I
Beautiful dog.
like
He goes back to save a dog. Now he's dead.
Damn, he
that
does.
part. It's like being an animal lover. I freaking love dogs, but it's like if you're
Just let the dog
sacrificing
go.
one or
Yeah.
the other, it's
The-
like your dad. Like your dad
Right.
is really gonna like not be there with his family to like go save the dog, that's the part when you're just kind of like,
I
I don't think
think
his
Yeah.
wife would have sent him to go get the dog if she knew he was gonna
well
die.
that's the weirdest thing to me because I feel like all the emotional parts of the scene are there. It's like it gets me every time. Like I
Yeah.
think it's acted perfectly. Like Henry Cavill does a great job, and it's like it always gets me. All three times I've watched it, I've like teared up at that part. But it's like, why does it feel cheesy? And it's weird because I feel like they had the right intention, even having him go
They
after the
did.
dog, because they were probably like, people love dogs. Let's have him go save a dog. I don't know, but it's yeah. When you balance that like human life thing, like,
Mm-hmm.
is his dad have to go back to save the dog? It's weird because he's saving people right before that.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
almost like I wonder in my brain, like if they didn't make him go back for the dog, if he was just out there like rescuing people and like getting him under the bridge,
Right.
and then the tornado picks him up, and then he does the same thing where he's like, no, Clark, don't. I
Yeah.
almost think people wouldn't have had as big of a problem with it. And that's weird because people like we all love dogs too. So
But it's
I don't
that
know.
it's like that thing you do where you put yourself in that position, and like if you were thinking of your dad running
Yeah.
out there to save the family dog, and like no matter how much God you like love your family dog, but like it's your dad, and it's your dad that you're extremely close with. So like
Right.
yeah,
I
if he was
think
going out there to save a child, it would make more sense.
Yeah, what do
But
you
you
think,
know,
make more
Omar,
sense.
about that
I
scene?
think the problem is here with this movie Man of Steel. Um, it's not really an origin story, so they didn't really. We get flashbacks of important lessons and important scenes when he's growing up. Like, dude, one of my favorite scenes is when it's a small Clark, a young Clark in the classroom, and then he runs out, goes to the closet, and his mom comes, and he's like,
mhm.
everything is
So
just
good.
it's so much, it's so big, and she goes like, "We'll make it
Make it
small."
small. Yeah.
And then he's able to. I love that, man. Just fucking
Ah,
goosebumps every time I
it
watch it.
got me too.
So yeah, so that's the only time we really see anything from his childhood or whatever. And a whole thing with Jonathan and Clark's relationship, even like I mean, I'm gonna keep going back to the comics and just TV shows or whatever. It's always that he gets his physical toughness from Jarrell, but his mental toughness always came from Jonathan Kent or the Kents, if you will. But it
Okay.
God,
was
I
always
love
Jonathan
that.
Kent. Of course, they couldn't really emphasize that in the movie, right? Because there's not much interaction with the Kents. I mean,
Right.
it's Henry Cavill, it's Zod. There's this whole thing going on. I guess they're trying to set up for like the future of other movie, But so they can't really emphasize on that. And I think this scene, even though I don't agree with it, and yeah, I thought maybe it was a bit. I'm not gonna say cheesy. I just don't like how it played out. I think they felt like they were forced to do something that dramatic to emphasize, like, hey, here's how he becomes mentally tough, and then let's move on.
I think that's
So
yeah. I think you're honestly probably right because it definitely that's the thing with so little time and so few scenes you actually get with him and Jonathan. It's like that scene sticks with you. Like how could it
Yeah.
not? There's like his death in it,
exactly,
and
exactly.
that's I think that's more impactful than him just having a heart attack. Like the fact that Clark had to decide in that moment, like I'm honoring my father. Like he says the world's not ready yet. Whether or not if that was the case or not, him deciding to have that mental toughness, you're right. That's like
Mhm.
I don't know. But I think that's why it sticks with you. Like I overlook the logic of like, why is he going back to save the dog? It's like oh
I mean,
man, this just
that's how
gets me.
I've like always seen it. I've always seen it as he gets his physical toughness from Jarrell, mental toughness from Jonathan Kent.
I like
Yeah.
that.
I could be just completely wrong, but
No,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I'm sure
This
you're
isn't
right. It's
actually a
just
thing.
the problem is it's not like everybody else has that knowledge. So like
Right,
that's why
right.
it's going to be a problem with people
No,
like
I absolutely,
but I
absolutely.
do think
I get that.
I think they prove it enough in this movie that he has his like his father guiding him and teaching him how to be a man. Like I think
Hmm.
very much is shown in this movie and they do a really good job with it. So I think it makes sense for him not to go. It doesn't make sense for his dad to go save a dog. That's what I
Right. No, I
mean.
agree. I agree with that.
Like that's more I think where the issue lies with everyone. And freaking
Right.
Henry Cavill is so like when he reacts to everything in this movie, it's like I feel the freaking heart tearing inside of him. It's
I
I
so
know.
know.
powerful. You're like, "Holy
God.
shit, dude."
So
It
does he
got
when he can just like fucking super speed down the fucking
I
just
know.
grab him and super
You think
speed
you
out
could
of there,
just
brother.
you'd barely look like you twitched. You know, you'd be like,
Yeah.
just have him back.
No.
or
I
just
mean,
like
dude,
real quickly do like something to where everyone just gets like knocked out. And then you go save your dad. Like just go around
yeah,
and
like,
deck
dude,
everyone in the
kill
face.
everyone
No,
and
like
save your
none of
dad.
it kill. Just like fly in a circle and
These
like
people
punch
made no.
everybody, and then run over there and get your dad, and then
I mean,
everyone's
you
like,
Problem
"Whoa, the
solved. No
tornado!"
honestly,
problem.
if you want to even think about it logically, you don't even like. I think the whole hard part, right, is that you'd have to get him and come back, and people are like, "How the fuck did you do that?" You could just super
No, dude,
speed
keep
grab
going.
him and just keep going, and then it's just like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, dude, I don't know, but we lived through it." You know,
You know how
like
many
Yeah,
people have
I
probably
agree.
had this conversation of like everything that he could
I
have
know.
done to save his dad and didn't? But it does help. I mean, with his growth, obviously, because he has to be like now the man of like the house, and in a sense, and like he uses that pain and everything his dad's taught him to like grow and be a better person and be the person
Mm,
that the world needs. So that's great. And I love Diane Land's great. I think she's a great Martha. She's wonderful to him.
she is.
And
And
she's like a really believable mother.
like my only attachment being Smallville, I feel like both of them, her and Kevin Costner, like remind me enough of how the characters are in Smallville, even though they have their little differences and they're not the same. But like
mhm.
they embody enough of those characters. Since that's my only touchstone with Superman, like
Yeah.
they feel natural to me. It feels like this was the right choice for them, and they like again with such little bits of time in the movie to show those relationships. I feel like they make good use of their time with that
Right.
to kind of
Mm,
just develop Superman.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, but moving on to the other main event with Rachel McAdams. Nope, just kidding. It's Amy Adams. I don't know. I was like
So
Rachel
close.
McAdams. It's Amy. Who is great, but might be one of the biggest issues I have with this movie, if I'm being
Yes.
honest. And it's only because I never knew why everybody had an issue with her and like the romance and everything, because I knew that was like a thing people talked about, but I never really understood it because like I love Amy Adams and I like the romance is cute or whatever. But watching it this time, I'm like, oh shit, like all of this happens really quickly and like has no explanation for any of it. And I saw that so much. Like by the end, they're practically in love, and it's been like a span of 3 days. And I'm just like, what is happening? And she like follows him everywhere, and then she goes into the spaceship with him, and I'm like,
Mhm.
when she was like scaling that wall or whatever, I straight up was like, there's no way. There's no way in hell she would have made it. She 100% would have slipped and fell to her death. That is not
Jesus.
believable. Like she literally leaps from like a glacier over to the ledge. I'm like, no, that's not possible. She's
That's
not
not
a
how it works.
superhero. But I
It's
don't know. It's just
snow.
something about their relationship is good because they're both good actors. So you believe that, then they have chemistry. So
They
that
do.
helps. But
They really
the
do.
progression of their relationship just was so unbelievably quick. And I was just like, what? I don't understand. Also, I feel like too many people knew Clark was Superman without like knowing. But
Yeah.
like, she like is at his house and has like a cop escort bring her there. So it's like, does
Right.
everyone just know Clark Kent is Superman in this
Well, no,
universe?
they don't know who Clark Kent is. Like they have no idea that Clark
I
Kent.
thought at the end when like the cop brought her there, maybe I thought he was like either in his like Superman uniform, or they were talking about Superman, and then she runs up yelling Clark, and I was like, did the cop not hear her just say Clark? Like what?
I
I
don't
was so
remember.
confused.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't
Um
remember that either.
but yeah, but it's just little small things. Like that's not anything that important. It's
Right.
just
Right.
those were the little things that I was like, oh, okay. Well, let's be a little more careful with,
Right.
I don't know, like his
Amy.
identity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
but
that's the weird thing is like that's what I meant earlier when I was like I love everything that the movie does with like the characters and the acting and the story even, but there's little inconsistencies I think that just take you out of the movie. And I
yeah.
think for me probably the first time I watched it, it's like when they take me out it was harder for me to get back in, whereas now knowing what this is I care a little bit less and I'm trying to like get like further into it. But yeah, it's weird. It's also one of those things where you'd think like the whole reason why his dad dies or whatever, like, so the world's not ready for him and he's trying to keep his identity a secret. So it does seem weird how quickly he opens up to her. But at the same time, he's
Mhm.
also just like, he's such a good person. Like, Superman's the embodiment of good. And she's literally laying there. She's got shot by a fucking alien, like, gun. So she's going to die if
Yeah.
he doesn't, like, cauterize the wound or whatever. So it's just weird. I don't know if the movie does the best job of explaining some of the weirder things. You have to connect the dots yourself, and so that when they take you out of it, it's just up to you if that's too much for you or if you can kind of keep digging. Because I think again, at the heart of this movie, all this stuff, like there's so much to love. So
I
some of
feel
those
like it
little
did a
things
lot of
just
jumping.
it does,
Like
but
even with Clark himself, like when he like kind of realizes his full potential, he immediately goes from realizing his full potential to immediately fighting Zod and like winning. And I was just like, that was kind of crazy to me too. I just was like,
Um.
I don't know, expecting a little more, maybe even of a montage, which is, I know this isn't Rocky, but like,
I'm
I don't know.
super.
I don't know. I was just kind of like, damn, that's like he's having to fight all these people real fucking quick, and he just is figuring out his powers, kind of thing.
But is he
Well,
just
well,
figuring them out though, or is he
no,
figuring them out when he's a
Clark is not
teenager?
just figuring it out.
But
Yeah,
like
he's
flying
known
and
how
stuff,
to.
he definitely did.
True, but
So it was just the
he's just a good
flying, but
flyer.
with everyone else, like remember General Zod? Like once he takes his suit off, it's pretty much like how Clark felt as a kid. He's
He's
all like
going
all
through
over
the
the
same
place. His
thing.
senses. So I
Right, but
think
then
that was
Zod
the
like
advantage for.
collected himself immediately. They like show him collect himself.
But
Yeah,
is it
but I guess it's still to some certain extent, right?
so
Yeah.
to
Because
me
I
it's
guess
when he
like
that's just how
flies,
I saw it. It just
right?
seemed really quick.
to
Well, no.
me
Here's the thing: you got to keep in mind they don't have powers on Krypton, right? It's
Mhm.
not like so they're not super quick. They're not super strong. They're
they're not
nothing on
used to any
Krypton,
of it.
Right. No, I
right?
understood that. I more just
Yeah.
meant like they Zod and them were way powerful, way quick too. Like if it took Clark all those years to adjust and like get his powers, then like they did
So
it in like a second.
is it because
Right.
Clark is like growing up, so it's like almost like hitting puberty or whatever? And that's the way I've always understood Superman gaining his powers on Earth. But then
Mhm.
for Zod, he's like already like fully grown. It's like him taking the suit off and him already being like an adult and whatever. Like so the second he's exposed to Earth, like he's getting all of it all at once. Is that how it
Well,
works?
so okay, so you've got to keep in mind he was in the Phantom Zone for a while, and you
That
really
too.
never know what happened on the Phantom Zone. Like if he was training, I mean, at the end of the day, they are warriors. They are like
He
generals
is
or
a
whatever.
military captain, general
Right, right. So
guy.
he's at the end of the day, he's gonna do whatever he has to survive. In the Phantom Zone, it's not just for Kryptonians, it's for really any sort of aliens. It's a prison for so I mean, dude, he could have fucking met God knows who up there, Thor, like who the
Yeah.
fuck knows at this
Y'all
point.
ever think
But
about how the Kryptonians really just saved Zod's life? They're like, here,
they
we're
straight up
sending you to
did.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Phantom
I think
Zone,
about
and
that all the
then
time.
we're
Dude,
gonna
I think about why didn't they just send the entire fucking planet to the
yeah,
Phantom Zone, save him, and then
Yeah. That whole
a lot,
logic,
a
I
lot
guess
of plot
they
holes, man.
well
yeah.
that
Nah,
kind of shows that they were just be straight up being politicians, which is what they were trying to like make them look like anyway.
right,
They were
right,
saying,
right, right.
"Hey, we're gonna be the scummy politicians that drain the earth of, or not the earth, might be
The plan,
Krypton,
yeah.
Krypton of all their
Krypton.
God, so similar to
resources."
real life.
And then yeah, send and then
Jesus.
they live through this mirage of believing that the world is fine, even if they keep doing it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's the way
Pretty
I kind of
creepy.
saw it. I totally get the Zod stuff. I'm ignorant because I don't know much about the lore of Superman, so that's all just coming from me being a person who doesn't know much about Superman. Maybe if they explained a little bit more, some of it would have
Well,
made
no,
more
I think
sense.
you're using common sense
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
You're
I
trying
mean,
to figure this stuff
what
out.
right, and with movies like this, honestly, I mean, it sucks to say, but you almost can't use common sense. You just kind of have to like
Right.
enjoy that action. Like, oh, okay, he's learned his powers within a minute.
Which
Cool.
don't think for a second I don't mind putting my common sense aside for a great movie because I do. I just
Okay.
love being ignorantly blissful throughout a
Yes,
movie.
there you go.
if
I
it's
love
if
that.
it's something I love, and I love superheroes and shit like that. So
Yes.
I still super enjoy it. There's just some things where I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, if they just would have spent a second explaining something. Either way though, it doesn't even matter because Michael Shannon was so great as Zod and so
Oh my god,
terrifying. I
dude.
I know I know all the stuff with him at the end, which I know I'm jumping, but
No,
so
I
when
feel like
he
because we're based.
kills Zod,
Yeah, and that's the other thing you were talking
that's
about
like the
earlier,
big
Omar. Right?
thing
That's
that
the
everybody didn't like,
The
right?
yeah.
controversial, yeah, because Superman up until this scene never killed a single soul ever
Right.
in anything ever,
It'd be like if
Really?
Batman
ever,
kills.
nothing ever.
Wow, I did not know
Like
that.
books,
Like
TV
comics or
shows,
anything?
movies, nothing, never killed. He's not, yeah.
Wow.
Interestingly
So
enough,
people fucking hated it.
and this is a small tangent, but because like Christopher Nolan's name's on this movie, I don't think I ever
Mhm.
realized to what extent. Like a lot of times, you see somebody as a producer on a movie like this, you just think they like he had a little tiny bit to do with it and just threw it out there. Did y'all know that Nolan actually was the one who pitched the idea of Man of Steel to Warner Brothers?
Hmm?
I didn't realize that until
Not.
I was reading it earlier. So he says like him and Goyer wrote what the story would be, and then Nolan, since he was in good graces with Warner Brothers because of The Dark Knight at that point, was able to go and pitch it, not wanting to do the project himself, but like basically bring in David Goyer's idea to them and say, hey, this is what I think. If you're going to reboot Superman, do it like this. What I was reading, I couldn't find what the actual idea was, but then talking to you guys, I'm realizing that probably because he said it was a different spin on Superman, it must have been the first natural birth in centuries thing. That must have been what Nolan really liked about the idea, because again, he didn't actually write the whole screenplay for it or anything. But I was reading about it, and particularly the scene at the end where Superman kills Zod.
Hmm.
Nolan's like on record as like when they were writing that and deciding if they could do that, Nolan was telling them like, I don't think you're going to be able to do this. Like, I don't think people are going to react well to this. He's like, if you do this, you're going to have to find a way to do it. And apparently Zack Snyder and David Goyer writing it were like, we really think this is the only way we can do it to make the ending feel dramatic. You can't just send Zod back to the Phantom Zone and the movie
Right.
end. It just feels too whatever. And I kind of agree with
Hmm.
that. Like, it's
Mhm.
crazy, and I don't have the same attachment to Superman because obviously, if I saw Batman kill somebody, depending on the context, I think I'd just be like, "This is too much." So I totally get it feeling like too much, but it's just so interesting because really, he's at the. What else could Superman do in that moment? Like, do
But
you
that's
just
the
say
thing.
my attachment to not killing somebody is so great that I'm just gonna let you fucking fry these people in the
Well,
subway? Like,
a lot of people came up with some pretty stupid things like, oh, he could have just covered it with his hand. You know, the heat vision would not have gone through his
oh
fucking
man,
hand, but it's like he risks like having himself killed or whatever, and Zod killing everyone anyways. I mean, dude, people were coming up with all sorts of theories, but honestly, here's the thing, right? Like at the end of the day, fuck him, man, because this was such a bold move. And I know, honestly, right? Like, dude, it was such a new. Here's the thing: their take on Superman, their take on even how Superman and Lois meet. This has never happened this way, right? It's always she meets Clark Kent first, or whatever. If she meets Superman first, at some point she ends up meeting Clark Kent. She doesn't meet
Right.
Clark Kent and Superman at the same time, right? Superman and Clark Kent, as we know, are never in the same room at the same time. It just
Right.
doesn't happen, right? So I mean, look, if they were gonna take this route, I was all for it. Like, if you're gonna take this route, fucking go full force, go all the way. Like, if you're gonna be bold,
do it.
bold, have Superman kill a
Well,
motherfucker,
and
dude.
that's what I think the DCEU in general is like trying to put out there, what they've been trying to successfully put out there is like, this is a vision. Like, this is going to be different than what everybody's expecting. Some of it's going to not be great and some of it could be okay. So that's
Right.
what this gave us. And I agree. I again don't have that attachment, and but I totally get where people would be so upset with that cuz yeah, with Batman, if I saw him just like snap the Joker's neck, I'd be like, "What the fuck just happened?" Because you've played through games with him and seen all these movies and read all these graphic novels and comic books, and it's just like he does everything he possibly can not to kill someone.
Mhm.
And Superman apparently would do the same thing. And the thing I loved about it though is they showed like how much pain it brought him after he killed Zod, because he was just like, not only was he saving him from those people, but I'm sure in his mind he was like, this man will never stop. Like, he's proving that he will never ever stop, no matter how. He literally got sent out into whatever the Phantom Zone is to die, and then made his way to Earth. Or, and like, you're just like, how would he be able to do that
Yeah, he'll build
alone?
another
So
army,
what's
right, and
the,
he'll come
now he
back.
knows where Earth is, so like, why would he not? Unless he's dead, they're not going to be able to hold him in jails here. So like, I get it. I get why they had to kill him off. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do for the character comic wise, but for
Mhm.
these movies and this Superman they built, I think it's great. I think seeing how much pain that brought him just made him feel even more human, which makes you connect even more to him. So
It
I
That's
also
my
liked it.
thing, man.
Yeah, and it's also that thing of like, what do you define as killing somebody? Because if, say, he doesn't snap his neck and he doesn't have the quick wittedness enough to think of putting his hand in front of it or anything like that, because we're not always thinking, you know what I mean? Like, congrats to whoever came up with that idea. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he could have done that, but do you think about every single possibility in your head before you
Right.
do something? No. So if in his brain and that fast that he had to act, it's like snap his neck or just let him kill these people. Like, isn't that still Superman killing somebody if he is holding his neck in his hands and the essentially the people are like, stop him, and he just lets them
So
kill them. So it's one of those things where I like, that's what makes it interesting to me too. Like, it's
Right.
such a big thing that Superman would break somebody's neck. So that ends the movie on this holy shit thing. And I get if this was too much, like it takes it too far and it's like, this is not what I want. But just watching this movie and it trying to do things differently and being a different take, I think for me it works. For me, I'm into it, and especially since we
yeah,
do get a sequel that obviously then we're gonna talk about,
yeah,
later.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
I
that's
agree. I agree.
it's
I agree
Um,
too.
are we gonna call it a sequel though? Because I don't think it's like officially the sequel to Man of Steel.
yeah, it's I've always wondered
Like, I
that
think
too.
Zack Snyder eventually came out and
He
said
said
that no,
no.
it's not the sequel, right?
I
But
always
So hopefully
I
that just means we get one.
I was gonna say I always
Yeah, because
argued, and not even really argued, but just when people would like try to say is it or not, I would be like, to me, I think this is Man of Steel too. I think it's adding in more
right.
characters and being way more ambitious. And again, we'll get to all that next week,
Mhm.
but that's what I always thought. But then again, if the directors ain't gonna say that this isn't the real
I'm pretty
sequel,
sure
then
he
that
came up
you
at
know,
some
then it's
point.
not.
And actually, I did want to ask you guys something too. You remember when so like the first scene we get with Henry Cavill, not when he's like in the sea or whatever, the ocean, and he's saving those people from the oil rig,
Mhm.
but when he's working and that dude was like trying to flirt with the waitress and like grabs her ass or whatever, and Henry
Yep.
Cavill steps in, Clark
What
steps
self
in.
control? So you just get a whole
I
beer
know, but
dumped
you
on your head
remember
and you just stand there.
I would have fucking heat vision
I
blasted
know.
everyone, including the fucking waitress, for not having my back like that. You remember when he was over here in the army guys, whatever, talking about like they found a vessel or some bullshit like that,
Mhm.
and then that's where him and Lois meet, right?
Right.
Like Lois is out there reporting on this shit. Y'all remember when he opens up the pod and one of the other pods is like empty?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah. So what is
Vaguely.
that
Kind of.
supposed to be, Zod?
No, 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 no. Hold up. So when I initially saw it, just knowing, honestly, not even from the comic books, from Smallville, I know that him and his cousin, well, his cousin was sent way before him, but his cousin got
Oh.
stuck on the way. And that's why when she arrives to Earth, she's an adult. Because just like how time and stuff
Uh,
works, it's not the same.
right.
Yeah. So she got stuck on the way to Earth. And by the time she makes it there, she's an adult. I thought, how cool would it be if that was the case, right? Never thought about it again,
Yeah.
ever, ever. Like that was done. It was over.
Yeah.
Today, while I was at work, I'm doing some research, and I find out it was confirmed that that was Supergirl. And not only that, apparently there was a fucking comic book or like a graphic novel set in the same universe as Man of Steel, um, focusing on that. She arrived with a whole group of Kryptonians, and they're like
Really?
somewhere
Shit.
out there on Earth.
Yeah, I noticed the open pod, and I was
It's
like,
fucking
for some reason in my head, I was like, "Oh, it's Zod. He's already there," because like I completely
Surprise.
forgot. I completely
yeah.
forgot what happens in the movie. But then when
I
you
just
see me,
thought,
and I
how
was like,
cool would it
"Oh,
be? Yeah, I was like, how cool would it be if it was Supergirl? I literally had that thought. I think probably because I've seen this movie like 3 times in theater.
yeah."
I probably had it like on the third time I was watching it, right? Like I caught
Hmm.
it, and that was it. Like it came and went. I was like, I like
No, that
nah.
is crazy that
Yeah.
they
And I
even
fucking
confirmed
confirmed
that.
it today, dude. Like 3 hours
That is
ago.
Always
crazy.
learning new
I was
things,
mind blown.
man.
Always, dude.
So I do want to do, because we're running a little long in the tooth for this one. Too much to talk about, guys. But I want to say, what do y'all, since we're like doing this as our countdown to lead up to Snyder Cut, what do y'all think we're gonna see with Superman that could be different? Like after watching this Superman movie, not BVS, this one, what do you think we're gonna see with like Superman and Henry Cavill in the Snyder Cut? Because you see him in the black Superman suit in this, which
You
I
And I
thought was
do.
really
forgot
dope.
that, dude. I totally forgot that you get that little
I was
quick glimpse
super
of him
excited
in
when I
it.
saw that.
Yeah. Like that was really
So,
cool.
do y'all think he's gonna be any different in the Snyder Cut? Like, is he gonna feel more like this Clark? Since you don't really get that in Justice League.
I hope so. I think for me the biggest and this will be stuff we talk about more when we go into like the episode before the Snyder Cut comes out. But my whole thing with all of this has been, even if to me, from what I remember, I think it kind of loses its way in BVS. The thing that I still liked was just that it was like this was what Zack Snyder wanted to do. This is something different, and it's like
Mhm.
I'm cool. I'm down to watch it, and I love so many parts of it. Even if collectively, I don't think the whole thing is like incredible once we get down the line. But so to me, like since this movie does such a great job of setting up like this Superman and like humanizing him and characterizing him, and it's been a long time since I've seen BVS too, so I could be wrong. But to me, I remember liking Clark slash Superman a lot more in this movie.
Okay.
But granted, there's stuff going on in BVS that are actually like complicated, like issues with like him even dealing with
Which we
just
can
being.
talk about all that when we do BVS, because I don't want to jump too far ahead. But like, so with Justice League specifically,
But that's what I'm getting
like,
at is that I think that like hopefully that those things being resolved, like when you get to Justice League and like them all coming together and him meeting more, him being with other superheroes and like them forming the Justice League in that movie. I'm hoping that that is Clark refinding his humanity in a sense. And so like
okay,
I don't know what we're going to obviously get into all that later, but like
okay,
I'm excited to see that type of the character that we see in Man of Steel kind of return in the
yeah,
Snyder
no,
Cut.
I agree. Is that how you feel, Omar?
Well, just because I've read the comics and everything, I know that when Superman comes back after he's been killed by Doomsday, he always comes back, just how we saw him in Justice League, all
Right,
dazed and
right.
confused,
Which I
not
knew
knowing. So
that.
I'm expecting, yeah, so I'm expecting that's gonna happen with the black suit because originally he comes back with the black suit. That's
Oh,
his
so
Kryptonian
that's why
suit.
everyone was pissed.
Yes, because they took that
Right,
from us.
right.
That makes
Like, dude,
sense.
he comes back with like long hair, a fucking beard, and everything, and he's just
I've
like,
seen
what the
those
fuck? Like, what
pictures.
am I
I guess I
doing?
didn't realize that's when he was coming back, but I've seen pictures of him in comics that look like that, and I was like, man, that looks dope. He looks like
Yeah.
Cap when he's in his like dark black suit kind of
Yeah,
thing in
yeah, yeah.
Fuck
movies.
yeah.
I actually have that action figure. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I still expect that to happen. But I think it's gonna lead to what Matthew's talking about. It's a
Hmm.
fucking 4 hour cut of the movie. So I think
I
we're
know we
gonna
gotta
get
have
to
There's
where,
got to
something.
be
yeah.
some growth in there.
Well, no, I'm thinking, yeah, he's gonna go back to how he was in Man of Steel, pretty much like, and because we always see the human side of Superman, which is Clark Kent. But in Man of Steel, we see the human side of Superman as Superman, and I
Right.
think that's just such a fresh take. And I think, hopefully, eventually, within the 4 hour cut, that's kind of
Right.
where it leads to. So yeah, that's what I think.
Cool, cool. No, I mean, I'm just from watching Man of Steel, my hype level's slightly going up a little more. I mean, I'm still hyped for this movie. I am. Like, I think it's a big event, and I love anything that's turned into an
Hmm.
event, but I'm the one on the lower end of because I just we'll know when we talk about the original Justice League. But this movie has definitely got me ready for this little mother freaking countdown we're doing. So, um, as like we said, this is our Man of Steel. We're gonna be doing this thing at the end where we kind of like rank the ones we like. Like we'll put them in order of like what we think is like top and bottom kind of thing. Um, with Snyder Cut in there because I think it's gonna be interesting to
Oh,
see that with
We
this.
yes.
have to. It's only
Um,
natural.
so clearly we're not gonna do that yet, but we're gonna be doing that when we start getting more of these movies under our belt next Thursday. Dude, Infamous. BVS. Batman v Superman. If you didn't know, for you folks out there that don't like abbreviations. Um I am interested in watching this movie again and we'll see how it goes after that. But yeah, no, this was super fun and I'm super enjoying this so far cuz it's giving me something to do. So,
It's giving me
I'm
something at all.
super enjoying it too. Super
dang.
fun. I
Superman.
see you, Bailey. I see you.
Soups. Nobody
Soupy.
likes when I abbreviate that. But yeah, again, you can always follow us, like us, subscribe to us on any of the socials that aren't Facebook at Again Press on Twitter, at Press Play Again on Instagram. You can listen to this if you don't want to listen to this and watch us on YouTube on Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and most importantly, Apple Podcasts. And I'm saying most importantly
Yeah.
because it is. Um, and then just like rate us, like us, talk to us,
Please.
give us if there's all these fun facts that we didn't go over, which we probably didn't, that y'all know, comment them and let us know. Let us know if there's something you want us to talk about in the next one because you know BVS is coming up. And always to prepare yourself for Wanda Friday because it's gonna be a doozy. Which that'll be up Friday night. So get a glass of wine, sit back, enjoy, kind of thing. But this was great, guys. I was excited to talk to y'all about this because I know how much y'all love these movies.
I was too. I'm so glad we got to go back and rewatch this because obviously I would have tried to anyway, but like actually getting to talk to y'all about it and hearing that Bailey actually liked Man of Steel, man.
I
I
did.
know,
I'm
man.
excited for that. I'm just
I'm
this
excited
opens up
for
a whole
this.
new
Who?
maybe some love, maybe some more love for
I
the
know.
DCEUs coming from
I'm
Bailey.
scared. I'm scared at
We
what
shall
might come
see.
out of me with
Will
this.
BVS crush her dreams or will she see it in a whole new light now? I don't know.
Stay tuned is what I say.
I like it.
But until then, keep it super.
Oh.
Super.